The entire fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua looked like a staged performance from the very beginning rather than a high-level sporting contest. Joshua acted as if he clearly understood the limits of what was allowed. Don't force the action, don't go all in, don't switch on predator mode from the opening seconds. But did Anthony Joshua really go off script in round 6 and actually break Jake Paul's jaw? If we discard the scripted version, the fight immediately turns into pure absurdity. A two-time heavyweight world champion, still an active top 5 fighter, struggling and failing to cleanly land on a well-trained YouTuber. In reality, this should have looked similar to Joshua versus Ngannou, brutal, short, and with no chances. In the fight with Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou proved that he should not be underestimated. At any moment, he can send someone to the canvas. Because of that, Joshua immediately switched on and finished him in 2 rounds. But in the fight with Jake Paul, it felt like a true world-class heavyweight was almost equal to a man who has neither the mass, nor the punching power, nor the boxing experience in this division. According to the laws of physics and boxing, such a fight simply cannot be long. That's exactly why the duration of the bout and its tempo look suspicious. The large ring is another element that's hard to call accidental. Its size clearly benefited Jake Paul. The space allowed him to avoid direct pressure, constantly retreat, move laterally, and most importantly, clinch. Jake practically built the entire fight around tying Joshua up, hanging on him, breaking his rhythm, and turning the bout into a sticky, uncomfortable slog. This was not a tactic for winning, but a tactic for survival and dragging the fight out. At first glance, what's the point? First, survive. Second, shock people with the fact that he managed to rock Joshua in round 4. Throughout the entire fight, there was a strong feeling that Joshua was deliberately stretching the bout. He didn't go for combination finishes, didn't trap his opponent in the corner, didn't invest his punches the way he does against real threats, and he didn't even throw his right hand. It was as if he was letting Jake breathe, giving viewers the illusion of intrigue. For the general audience, it looked like a tense fight, but for people who understand boxing, it looked like a controlled show. In essence, this bout became a continuation of the same line as the Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather fight. The same circus, the same selling of a loud name against a professional. But there is an important difference. Conor was an elite MMA fighter and physically matched his weight class, and Floyd looked like an out-of-shape veteran, which made the fight script seem less insane while watching. But even there, you could clearly see the moment when Floyd stopped playing games and decided to finish Conor, a boxer who God knows when last knocked someone out. He effortlessly steamrolled McGregor without even breaking a sweat. That was the logical outcome of such a matchup. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is a media project who looks completely out of place in the heavyweight division. Logically, Joshua should have destroyed him in 1 round, and the very fact that the fight dragged on says a lot. Nevertheless, Jake did manage to land a few shots on Joshua's head. Those punches were not critical, but they clearly bruised the champion's ego. After that, Joshua started working noticeably harder. His movements became sharper, his punches heavier, the pressure more tangible. As if he realized he had been playing a role for too long, and it was time to remind everyone where the line between show and real danger lies. After all, this matchup was already a hit to AJ's image, and if he allowed Paul to land freely, that would seriously raise questions about Joshua's future in boxing. That's why after Jake's heavy punch in round 4, Anthony began forcing the action. The ending looked logical and even necessary. A brutal, precise shot to the jaw put an end to the fight. For Jake, it ended with a knockout, a fracture, and a hospital bed. This moment seemed to bring the viewer back to reality. No matter how many scripts and agreements there are, the difference in class and power eventually takes over. But credit must be given to Paul. He didn't go unconscious and didn't even pretend to. He truly took the shot to the jaw, which actually broke. After the second show instead of boxing on the Netflix platform, serious questions arise. Is it even worth subscribing for their sports events? Every sporting event they put on is pure pro wrestling. Yes, they already have the rights to WWE, but why turn boxing into the same WWE, only far less entertaining? There has never been a streaming service that seriously offered viewers obviously staged events. People watched the Paul versus Tyson fight indulgently because of Mike's age and the desire to see him in action for at least one more minute. But this fight raises many questions, especially since Jake Paul was originally supposed to fight Gervonta Davis, a man whose size is comparable to the leg of an average person. How would that fight have gone? Davis is a multiple-time undefeated champion, an active best fighter in his weight class. Would he also be forced to walk around the ring pretending that this is how he fights? And how would the size difference problem be solved? Because from the Joshua fight, it's obvious that Jake, despite the script, would throw hard if he had the opportunity. Now imagine if a decorated fighter like Gervonta went down from Jake's punches while Jake wasn't following a pre-written script. In short, this format of sporting events is too strange and dishonest toward the audience. When you buy a professional boxing broadcast, everything is clear. When you buy influencer fights, everything is clear. In both cases, they try to win. The difference is only the skill level. But Netflix fights look like clickbait from a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Write in the comments whether you will continue watching fights on Netflix and whether you like their format of sporting events. After such a fight, it's logical to ask, what's next? For Jake Paul, it's obvious that he should stay far away from real heavyweights. His true level is other well-trained media personalities. A potential fight with Andrew Tate looks logical from a show and hype perspective, but even here doubts arise. Tate already twitches, fidgets, and shows clear fear at stare-downs, and that's without a single punch being thrown. In a real ring, the pressure could break him psychologically before the fight even starts. After all, years of trash talk have placed a mountain of expectations on Andrew's shoulders, and if the fight with Chase Demore goes badly, a matchup with Jake loses its meaning. However, if Tate overcomes his nerves and beats Demore convincingly, then his fight with Paul could be exactly what brings hype back to influencer boxing. As for Anthony Joshua, that's a completely different conversation. His name is still associated with big fights against Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. But the main question remains open. Was Joshua's form in this fight optimal for such super fights? Restraint, caution, and the lack of a killer pace could be part of a script, or it could be a signal that his peak is already behind him. Against Fury or Wilder, this kind of control and energy conservation could backfire badly. There will be no time to drag out a show. There, every round could be the last. What do you think? Will Anthony Joshua return to the elite level of boxing? And which potential matchup interests you the most?